Whoops, shit.
What do you?
I was trying to make it stop going live.
You're live.
Am I live? Am I here? If someone can see me here, let me know. Hello, we trying to set it up in my frame room tonight. Type in and let me know if you can see me. Yay, they say here comes Deb. Hi, everybody. Thank you for giving me another night. Tell you what, the cold that I got this week really knocked me for a loop. Yes, happy Friday. Jody is our guest star tonight because yesterday she got her port removed. She's doing great. And she even burned her pink t-shirt to celebrate. So, Jody, we're so happy for you. Jody is now a normal Jody. Isn't that wonderful? Who'd have ever thought it's such a good thing to be normal again? But I know it's a good thing to be normal again. Okay, everybody. Hello. It's so good to see you. So we are upstairs in my frame room, and I'll give you a little glance around. And this was a spare bedroom. And let me see if you can see there's a quilt on the wall over here. And of course, Dale Jr., we used to love when he raced. And there's a closet with all my batting in it. And a very lightly used elliptical trainer. There's all of my fibers, my yarns, and funny fibers. There's the door out to the hall. Here is a dresser that has some clothes, but a lot of sewing items. Then my threads that I got. Oh, over here, I have punch needle embroidery and some of my paper bead stuff. Then here is my frame. Let me turn you around this way. There's out the side window my lights that I have up because I'm very much in touch with my inner child. Let me turn this off so you can see my rooster. That is, you can't see his face very good. Let me see if I can move Nemo. Well, there's a face behind Nemo of that. Then a little TV. Then my threads that I keep for mostly the thread painting. So, and then a few in little boxes and stuff. I turned it too far. I wanted to show you out the window. It's a lovely time of night. All right, so now hopefully I haven't messed up anything and we can go back to talking. But I wanted to bring you into the frame room because I've been sick this week. I had a cold and a fever for a couple days, but I'm definitely doing better. Went to the doctor today, and I've been having problems with sciatica. And she said, you know what? Exercise. Like, okay. So, and she doesn't want me to take Advil. So I'm going to take Tylenol, and she wants me to walk short bits twice a day. So I'm going to do that. But anyway, I'm here tonight. I'm a little tired after going to a doctor's appointment, getting my car washed and gassing it up. When did we get to the age that just doing that in one day meant you were tired? So the reason we're up here is so that I got the beach quilt on the quilting frame. Pardon me. I've got it on the quilting frame because I'm doing my thread painting on the frame. And I do want to tell you, the way that we do collage quilting and you get a buildup of layers, it is, let me make sure all my lights are on. It is tricky. It is tricky to, I was trying to get better light here, but oh well. It's tricky when you're thread painting over layers, especially where I tucked under and glued. So you're going to break a lot of thread. Sometimes I only get 4 inches of thread sewn and then it breaks. Now, while we're here, let me show you real quick what kind of lighting I have. Early on, Mark put this, what do you call this stuff now? What is this called? It's the kind of lighting we don't like anymore. Fluorescent. He put the fluorescent tubes. There's 3 of them down the length. But then what's really been wonderful in the lighting world is, oh, you can barely see it. It's a little strip of LED lighting. And it's so close to the front edge that you can't really see it. You can see it reflecting on the other lights. Then, whoops, I shouldn't have touched something. Okay, so then I wanted to show you, we bought these cool little lights, and they plug in somewhere, I forget, Mark arranged the plug for me. They're magnetic. They sit right here. I can turn them on and off separately. And let me tilt you down to show you the light they give when I am working on this frame. So here it's turned off. Here it's turned on. Now that looks too bright to you, but for me, it's just right. And I can put them anywhere I need to. And lighting is very, very important. All right, so let's see. Why am I seeing? Oh, I'm seeing this bar. I thought I was seeing the camera mount, but I'm seeing the bar for the sewing machine. And you see my machine? It's an old Janome. Well, it was a new Janome 1600 that they stretched to be 16 inches. I got this and the wonderful frame for $1,800, which is a Deb deal. And I love it. Now let's see. Let's see who all is here. Mary, first person here. Marsha, close second. A big happy birthday to your son, Dan. The big 4-0. That's great. That's great, honey. And then, got to put my glasses on. Oh, that's so much better. So Marsha and... let's see. Mary, it stormed last night, very waterlogged. Aw. Yeah, I'm very glad you're up high. Jody, I'm just so, no more cyborg Jody. Aw, Denise, hello, honey. Diana B, there she is watching with your friend Tess in Utah. Hi, Tess. Oh, Utah, that's the Mile High State. Okay, Diana B. Gran. Oh my gosh, Gran is here, everybody. How excited to see our Gran. Gran, did you take your work to sell at that art fair? Because that sounds wonderful. Yeah, this is my baby sewing machine. I call it my frame room because when you have a frame, it takes up so much space. So Mark was like, well, now you have 2 rooms. And I'm like, we don't get that much company. I'm putting it to good use. So, hi, Lisa. Oh, I hate the sciatica thing. It's not fun. That beautiful dresser you saw, Jody, I got from an auction. Really cheap. I couldn't turn it down. And, of course, if you get a piece of furniture, you're going to fill it up. Diana B. I'm just so tickled that Grand is here. Hi, That is wonderful. And Pat Fry is here. Yep, we're live tonight because I've been sick this week. And so you did, and you made a killing. That's wonderful, Gran. See, now, let me tell you what. When you can have a hobby that you love that you can also make money on, good job. Is there a Tess here? Oh, Tess. Yes, that's right. Tess is it Diana's friend? So let's see. It is so good seeing all of you. Oh, hon, that's fabulous. Oh, yeah, now you have something to do when you're sitting around thinking, what should I do tonight? I'll make some more crafts that I can sell. Does anyone still stretch machines? I doubt it. This one was probably done 15 years ago, back before long arms were very popular for the home market. A company named New Joy did it, and I adore the frame. And the frame is still, if I were to get another long arm, I would keep the frame. But they did a pretty good job. All right. Well, let's see now. All right. What have I been doing? And I apologize, I don't have more. It is just that not feeling well. I wasn't in the mood to spend a lot of time on this frame. All right. So I'm still not sure about these clouds. I think they're too dark, so I think I might replace them. So I'm not going to do any more sewing until I decide. I still need to do some thread painting in here. And I'll show you those threads. Oops. Now, where did Mark put those threads? Oh, there they are. Good job. He did not put them too far away. But the fun thing about that sky, that's when you can bring out some really nice embroidery thread. Now, I'll bring out some light yellows and things, but I love it when I can bring out some shimmer and shine. So I have those threads that I'll be using on the sky. But what I've been doing is kind of jumping around where I feel like it. So I'll show you what I have done. And just so you know, use a regular sewing weight or a slightly lightweight gray thread in my bobbin, a nice neutral gray. And that way, if it were to get pulled up, then it's not going to be as noticeable. So I've done some thread painting in the sky. Just kind of, nice, lazy, smooth sky stitching. Nothing too fancy here, even up to this dark blue. So that's what I've done there. I've done nothing, though, to the yellow and the peach. Then I came in today, and this is one, I learned this in a class. This sideways Z is a very good way to give that little look of ripples in the ocean without being too obvious. If you tried to do every little one, it would be too much. Then what I did is I thought there was too much of a difference between this color and this color. So I said, first, I'm going to take some pale gray. Let me see if I still have it up here. I took some pale gray and this is Aurifil thread, but this broke so much on me. I'm disappointed. But anyway, thank goodness I didn't buy it because I don't want to spend that much for thread that breaks on the long arm. But you have to remember, this long arm stitches up to 1,500 stitches a minute. Also, if you've known Tess for 23 years. Oh, how wonderful. Well, Tess, we love a new addicted quilter. That is our kind of lady. So, I am just so tickled about Gran being here and doing so well. So I took that pale, pale gray, and what I did is I just sewed some straight lines to kind of help blend between these two fabrics. And I'll look at it for a while. If I'm not sure I'm happy with it, I can always come in with a tone, a medium tone between these two. But I think right now I'm okay with it. And I did feel like though I needed to add some of those zigzags to kind of get that feeling of the ocean. And try not to do them too regimented. Some I started down here, others I started up here. Some I put a little closer together, some I put farther apart because you don't want them to be too regular. Your eye will pick up on things that are very regular. Let me turn my microphone. It's hitting the bar and I don't want to drive y'all nuts. Okay. Now, here and here, I was looking at the lines of the different color water, and where it went up, I did kind of a little bit of a frothy wave. Let me bring you. I love Mark. Put this arm up here for me because I can really show you what I'm doing. But like right here where this water line went up, I went ahead and did like a bunch of curves. I first did darker colors because people forget that. In fact, let me print out something real quickly and let me print this. And then I can bring it to you and show it to you. Hopefully, the printer will work for me. And I want to print it good. Okay. Let me see. I think that'll work. Push print. And I'll make sure I go get that if it prints. But what I was going to show you is I found some more. I was sitting here working with the water and the waves, thinking, I really want to do a good job on this. How can I do it? Hi, Betty. I loved your email today, honey. In fact, Betty, if you're still here, I'll show you real quickly how I did the fence. It's not as difficult as you think. And, but anyway, so then I just did little bits of the white far off. And then this other side over here, I had another area where it went up. And so I did some more of the circular motion, hoping that from a distance it will look like, just a far out wave, because not all the waves are hitting right here. You have smaller ones further out, and it's just little areas where the water, they call it breaking, where the water, part of the water is moving faster than the other, so it falls down in front of the slower water. And that's what you get. Now, I'm not too sure about these blue lines. I think what I needed to do was do a few of these, but I think I did too many. So I'm just letting you know I'm going to do other things. I can always come back and take most of those out. Then I've started now on these. Oh, and in here, I took that neutral gray and I just kind of did that thread work, kind of like I do on the sky. It's a really good, let me see if I can show you. It's a real good all purpose. And what I did is I come like this, and then go over and just kind of doing nice, soft loops. And that's a good general purpose for sky and water. Anywhere you want it to look just very pastoral. Now here, I'll get ready and show you. I'm going to go see if that thing printed. And you notice I've got my ink tips back out. So I'll be right back. Let's see what we've got. Because now I think it's that pot we made the chili in. But let me send this to you and see if you can print it. It didn't print out yet, but if I can't get it printed, I'll show you the picture. Let me real quick send this to Mark. Okay, here. Mark had to hook me up. Okay. He had to hook me up to a different network so that I could work in here. And thank goodness he did. All right, I'll send that to him. Now what I'll do is hope he can print it out. And if he can't print it out, then, oh, I forgot to turn on this lamp. I think that will be nice. Give us just a little bit more light. Okay. Now, so now I'm working on these waves. And if that page prints out, I'm going to show you how that people always think that waves are white, but they're not. They're very different shades of color. One thing I'm going to do is I'm trying to think. I needed a little bit more color in this area right here. So I'm just kind of doing a little bit. And then where the wave starts to come up, like up here, I'm going to come in and bring a little darker watercolor, and it tends to go on either side of the wave starting and right up to where the frothy part is. So I'm going to add this, but I was thinking I need more water to define my waves. Right when the wave is breaking over, you really notice the darker water because the way the water is pulled back a little bit and then getting ready to break over, this really shows. So now let me get, oh, good, got it open. Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. All right. And Mark was able to get those printed. And I'll get ready and show it to you. But here I have put the ink tints. So now let me put a little bit of that to bring up the color. Now, once you wet that area, I looked at that and thought, it's not quite what I want it to be quite yet. But let me show you here. I have 4 shorelines here. So because I said I need more examples of waves. But do you see this part of the water is kind of pale, but when the water pulls back to crash over, do you see how much darker it looks? So everywhere that I want there to be waves, I've got to bring in the darker color because that's what happens. In fact, look right here. That's what happens. Now, my water is not this color, nor is it that color. I'm North Carolina. I have gray sand. I have more of this. Gray sand and a grayish green water. So I'm never going to look like this. And I knew that when I printed them out. But do you see why I'm thinking of using cheesecloth? Because look at the way the foam does with the water. One thing to notice also, there's a little dark, you can see how white the edge of the wave is. There's also that little dark line underneath. So I came in here first with a little bit of the gray thread, and then I'm going up right behind it with a little bit of the white thread. So I'm just kind of building up in front of that wave. And then I'm going to end up doing the same with these. See how it's just, and you don't always have to put a lot. Sometimes it's just a little line of blue, and then but look at this. So as it's pulling back, getting ready to tumble over, that's when you see that. And you can see right here, you see a little bit of a darker color with just the little edge of it white. So what I like to do is I really like to make sure that I'm looking at some of these. Now let me see. What do I do? I've got these little places. I think what I do is I come in here like this, where some of these raise up like that, and I put some of the color in there and over here, and then come in with some of the, now I have two different, I have bright blue, I have teal green, sea blue, iris blue. So I think I'll use sea blue. Come in here like this. And I'm even going to bring a little bit right there so it, in fact, I'll bring a little bit across here and here. Then I'll come under this wave and add more color. Because I know by this and this, that's what I would have. So I might down here, just draw a line. Then as I get into here, then make it bigger. Make the color a little wider. Okay? And kind of, do what they did. Have just a touch, then bigger, then go back to a touch. But as you look at different waves, even with this one up here, you see the dark right in there? So you can actually come in, like up in here, put a little bit of dark where that white part of the wave is. And then here, I'll just kind of, just little bits of color, but mostly white. And I need to be careful when I go to paint that because I don't want it to look all baby blue. So what I'm going to do is let me just see how this is going to work. I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to use the textile medium. And here I'm just going to carefully just touch little bits. I'm not going to brush sideways. If I brush sideways, it'll end up being just a baby blue. And I want it to be white with a little blue in it. All right, so now let me see how these did up in here. And this brings a nice bit of color because, it might have been gray when I first looked at it, but it doesn't mean we can add more color to our world as long as we don't go too crazy. Okay. So I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and he told me that he told his neighbor about us, and she came and visited for a while. She is really into quilting. I am so tickled for her. And she has a long arm frame and a really nice sewing machine. And she is loving the quilting life. So that's wonderful. Now I'm going to stop with this right now. When I get to this stage, this is more of the finish stage. When I get to this stage, I like to take it a little slower. It's easy to go fast when you're doing the beginning stage. All right. Now, and I was going to show you too, you've really got to watch your clouds, especially when you have something strong happening like the sunrise. But you see how these are clouds, but see how dark they are? Some of them, like here, has the lightest on the top, but up here, the lightest is on the bottom. So I'm going to do little different treatments of my sky. Pardon me. Goodness. So my doctor thinks I'm getting better. It just, I told her I hadn't been sick like this since before the pandemic. Here is some of my white thread that I'm going to find a way to put down here. And this was some thread that got tangled. Or no, I was tearing white fabric to do indigo dyeing. So what I'm going to do is when it comes time to put this on, I'll fluff it out. But look at that. Isn't that cool? So let me shine some light on it. But you could put it just about anywhere. And then don't forget, I've got this cheesecloth. And instead of just putting it all over, I really think that I'm going to cut it in strips and maybe just do like a double. Well, I don't even know if I need a double layer. Maybe just a little single layer right here. So I'm still trying to decide, but I'm doing such a good job getting my thread painting done in there. I don't think I need it as much. So, okay. Now I've got my machine set up with the white thread. I will now just see if I can show you a little bit of how I'm doing it. Let me see. I think on this lighter part, I'm going to do a little bit of that stitch that teacher taught me. Whoops, my thread, come on. It's not making stitches, so my bobbin might not be put in right. Let me check my bobbin really quickly. I have to go under. You get really good at feeling your way around the underneath of the machine. Okay, here is my bobbin. Aha. Somehow the bobbin's a little... Okay. This is also hard on bobbins when you do thread painting. So just be patient with your bobbin. Okay. Now... And I'll just tell you too, Charlene Lawson's here. I had a birthday wish from Susan Smith the other day, and I re-invited her, told her we've missed her. So if you see Susan Smith come in, please give her a warm welcome. We haven't seen her in a while, and we've missed her. Okay, now... So what I'm going to do is show you how to do that diagonal zigzag that gives the water a look of movement without being too obvious. Now I'm going to cut the thread, but right here. Well, I don't know if you're able to see it much or not. Let me bring the camera down. It's right here. The zigzag came over the back like this. Okay. And if you just do a few of those, you'd be surprised how effective they are. So now I'm going to do another one because this is the part of the water that's a little active. I'm going to cut the thread. Now, all right, so there's my second one. I think I'll start, let me pull my thread tails, not very long, and sometimes when that happens, when I start to stitch, it'll pull out of the needle. I'm going to do that movement one more time for you. Let me pull the camera back and tilt it like this. All right. So here I go. I don't want to go over my wave. I'll come under my wave. All right. Okay, that's good. And I really like how it gives a little touch, a little lightness, a little sparkle, and a little bit of movement. All right, I'll do one. Here, must do it. Since the white hardly shows up, I'm going to do a few more of those than I did with the gray. And I'm just going to come on down till it stops. Whoops. Okay. Now let me see if you can see this one. I'm not too sure. Well, it goes here, like this, then down here. So see, it is subtle, but it does give good movement. All right, let me bring the camera back up. And here, we'll keep going. Oh, thank you, Martha. Now, I don't even need that. I'm too mean and ornery not to get well. But you're a sweetheart. Now, I'm getting much better. The doctor said, I don't think you really need anything. You know, these viruses, they just have to get better on their own. Oh, nope. See, I didn't pull extra thread out. I tried using a thick white thread that I thought might look wave-like, thick, you know. It got all tangled up. So I said, okay, I'm going back to the machine embroidery thread, because at least machine embroidery thread ends up, it's made to do fast stitching. All right, here I come with this. All right, and I'm going to do another one here. And then I'm going to come up this way, and then just kind of, as long as I keep that zigzag diagonal movement, I am just fine. And Miss Marcia, my Christopher, my son, his birthday is the 16th of May, and he's going to be 37. He's my youngest. My oldest is going to be 45 this year. I don't know how she got so old. Because it's certainly not that I'm old. Okay, so now let's see. I just wish the lighting was a wee bit better, but you know how this camera does. The lighting comes in and it's like, oh no. All right, so now that I've done those zigzags, and the nice thing about it having a little sheen to it is the light will make it show. The next week when I go to show you this and I'm holding it straight up, you'll get a chance to see it. All right, so now what I'm doing, I'm working on these white parts of the waves, and I'm trying to make them look nice and fluffy. Now let me see if you can see this at all. Can you kind of see that, sweethearts? But by doing little curves and things, I'm mimicking what I think the wave is doing. So now I'm gonna get ready and sew on this one right here. And whoops, I think I still need to move this back. It's hard to figure out, how do I film this and not smash the camera? And when I do these curly cues, I will go slightly above the wave, because if you look at a picture of the wave, you will see the spray can go up into the air above the wave. So you'll see the edges look a little fuzzy. That's the spray going up. So it really helps. Here's a lot more spray that you're able to see. Look at this. See the spray go up? So when you're doing your curly cues, let it go up and above the wave. And that will give that natural spray look. Okay. And then come down to this one. And I'm going to try not to go too fast because I don't want the thread to break quite as often. And let that white thread go up into the greenish blue of the ink tints you just put on. If you need to, just come back and do more of that frothy looking wave. And I do like coming along the bottom of that wave and giving it some nice bright white. Then I'll come here, just going just over the edge of that white fabric. And just know though, where you've got the waves are all tucked under fabric. And so, whoops, sometimes they get caught. That's what will break your thread. So take it a little slower because it's frustrating to every few inches have to rethread your needle. Okay, when I get to little skinny parts, let that spray go up. Now, I don't let it go below the line because most of the lines, when I looked at these photos, it didn't seem to spread out downwards as much as it went up. So I'm just letting you know. I just feel like this is a way. Oh, and guess what? Now that Betty's here, Betty, tell them that your blue heron got judge's choice. I'm so tickled for you. Okay. Also, this is where when the water pulls back, it leaves all these little, that's where I was thinking of, why I was thinking of using, let me see if I can get a good light on it. Why I was thinking of using cheesecloth, because there's, how in the world do you do all that little stuff? So what I did is I came along here. I'd already put some gray. I don't know if I like this blue or not. I may try to use ink tints on it to blend it in. But what I did is make sure that I sew up and back and forth like V's to try to show you can see like part of the sand through it. You can see the part of the water. You can see the part of the white. There's even a little bit of blue in there. So that's why some of this I put the blue thread in. But I'm not sure. I think that's why I went down to get the ink tints, because it needs to be more than just one line. Okay. But I can always go back and take that out. That is not a problem. I am the master of going back and trying to fix it. But I'm really tickled for Betty. She did such a good job with her blue heron. And I'm glad she got that recognition. Okay. This needle threader, this machine's so old. I'm not even sure how to begin to make that work. So I have to thread it myself. All right. And I use a top stitch needle because it has a long groove. This groove goes all the way up. Whoops. Let me see. Goes all the way up here to the top of this, the skinny part of the shaft. That will help keep your thread from fraying as much. Okay. So now I'm just going to keep going down here. Like this. And don't forget, do a little looping above. In fact, I didn't do enough of that here to come a little bit above the white fabric to be the spray. And then come down and do this area to try to give that fishnet appearance of the foam and the waves. So as you can see, it's just a lot of work, and you have to just hang in there with it. Well, I think I've given you some good stuff to think about here. Now what I think I'm going to do is let's go up. I'm going to have to switch colors of thread. So let me bring my camera up a little bit. Anything you want to see me do, let me know. Yes, I think it would be good. What I would do first, this is what I recommend. Do your white color first, add your metallic as the icing or the cherry on top. Because sometimes when you do too much of the metallic, it'll actually look flat. I know that sounds odd, but give it a good base, and I like to work from dark to light. So you see I did the blue, then the gray, then the white. And I try to use 3 shades. I thought about putting this blue in and making the blue on either side of the waves, but it would be hard to really make this. I think the ink tints is the way to go. So now, oh, I wish I hadn't taken the white off. I forgot that I'm going to need white in the center. But let's go in first with a pale yellow. That will be right here in the first part. Let me move my waves out of the, well, it's nice to be able to look at this one more time. So how would you quilt that? Take a look at the photograph, and what do you see? You see straight, calm lines. Then look at the photograph of the beach. You see more of a, this. So how I'm going to quilt this is just long lines. I mean, thread painted, not quilted. So I'm going to put my yellow spool on. Okay. Yellow spool. And pardon me, it takes a moment to get new spool. Don't forget, if you have any questions, write them in all caps. Also, if you have suggestions, I love getting suggestions. I will just, it might be something I really need to do. It might be something I've tried before, and I'll tell you if I think it won't work. But sometimes y'all at home are sitting there thinking, why didn't she do this? And I'd love to hear. Because sometimes we are smarter in a collective. We are smarter altogether than our individuality. So I love y'all to share your ideas here. And let me tell you, if I don't see it during the show because I'm too busy, I go back and read the chat. And I have learned some good things that y'all cared to put on there. So thank you very much. Okay, got the thread through. Come on, come on, come on. Always make sure that when you put the thread through the bobbin, the tension knob, make sure that I try to hold it back here and then pull down here to make sure it goes in between those two little tension discs. Because if you don't, you'll have a tension problem like I did on my waterfall quilt, and you don't know until you've already done all that stitching. That kills you because it's kind of like too late there. And I tried to disguise mine, and it didn't work. She saw it. That was one eagle-eyed judge, and she saw it. So, okay, now the yellow is in. Now, one thing I'm going to do, this is a sunrise, and you can kind of get the feeling that the sun, this might be a sunset, but I'm doing a sunrise. But you see how it kind of comes up the atmosphere, and see how it makes it kind of light right here? So what I'm going to do is come in here and do some simple little lines, little rays. And don't do them too obvious. I don't want to look like a 5-year-old doing his first sunrise. But now it'd be nice if I didn't do the V's and just did straight lines. Okay, and this did break. Oh, it broke quite a... Oh, I see why. Hold on. When your thread breaks, always look through the sewing machine to see what caused it. With this one, when the thread probably one time, it had unspooled a bit, and when I wrapped it, I accidentally made a loop, and that loop caught. All right, so if I hadn't have checked that, if I just rethreaded it, I'd be rethreading it a couple more times till I realize that. All right, come in, go through, get in between the tension discs. But sometimes people forget, they think, well, the thread just knows to go where it's supposed to go. But believe it or not, if it doesn't go in between the tension disc, and every once in a while, take a piece of dental floss and run it through your tension discs. Get out any dust, anything that could be blocking your tension discs from working right. And your tension disc is usually one of the first things you run your thread through. And it usually has a dial somewhere near it so you can tighten or loosen it. But some people say only pull thread through one way, and that will do. But sometimes you just need to, a little bit of waxed floss, dental floss, not a bad thing. Okay. Now, here we go. So, oh, here we go. Got some writing. Some light color thread for sun reflection on the water. Good job. Thank you for reminding me that. Somebody did say that last week, and I was like, yes. So what she means by that, since I had to rethread it, let me show you. So you know how we're kind of doing this? I'm going to come in here over top this light gray zigzag, and I'm going to do a yellow zigzag. I want to try to follow the gray zigzag best I can. All right. Now, if you do this several times, then your eye will pick up that pale yellow look. And you can also, where the sun is coming up, right along here where I look, right along here where I use the blending lines, I'm going to go over the blending lines with light yellow thread. And I'll probably, every color between yellow and orange, I'll do a little bit where I think it should be. But that was very good, Mary. Because sometimes we think sun and then we think water are two separate things and don't realize that they affect each other. I'm having a hard time. Let me pull this over. I'm trying to move my hand so I'm not in the way, but I can't. I only know how to thread this one way, the way I normally do it. Okay, here we go. All right, so I've done a zigzag across here. Then I'm going to come over here and in an area a little bigger, a little wider than where that sun is, I'm going to come in here and do some yellow lines right in here. And I'm even going to come down into this area with some. Now I've already taken some ink tints and have done some of this. Then right here on top of that white wave, I'm going to put a little line of yellow too. And right now this is subtle, but by the time I get all of it done, it's going to give you, let me see if I can bring it down a little more. It's going to give you the feeling that yes, there is some of the sunrise shown on the water. So I've got some ink tints right here, and I think, in fact, put a little ink tints in there too. Ink tints is just so nice, and underestimate what that sun will do. Now, I'm glad I caught my thread. Sometimes when I do the thread cutter, it cuts it a little too short. Okay. It came out anyway, and I pulled it longer. But now you can, if you're ever doing thread painting, you'll know it. This is why sometimes I have a hard time with it, because when I'm creating, I can be very impatient. And especially if I'm trying to get it ready for the show, for y'all to see, it's like, how many days do I have to spend doing this? So I never want you to think that it just happens overnight, because that's not quite it. So what I'm going to do, now I'm going to go back with these rays, and I'm going to go a little bit further than that light yellow ring. And what that will do is then when I do the darker yellow, I'll kind of blend the two. But I'm putting plenty. Okay. Then I'm going to bring this yellow thread down on the dark horizon line of water. See that? Bring it down, and then come on out. Come on down. And do a few little Z lines to have it show. All right. Hopefully that shows you a little bit. And then I'm going to make sure I use I'll try to probably find my white metallic to do the center of the sunrise, or some Angelina fibers. I think that would be really good. You end up with lots of little threads to cut, but that's okay. I do try to make sure I keep them trimmed, because you don't want your presser foot getting caught, and then you'll do a very odd bunch of threads that you didn't mean to have. So, okay. And I love something like this. I normally keep this suction cup here, and it has a magnet. So I keep it right on the, whoops, you can't see it, the front of my machine. So it's always there for me. But it fell off the other day, and I need to then, um, I need to clean off the machine to do it. Okay. Now, since this is a lighter area up here, I think I'm just going to go straight to this area and just do some just nice, gentle lines. And don't have them move too much. You don't have to have them being little soldiers. But you just kind of want something calm and soothing. Come up here. When I try to get up further north of it, I'll come up by the sun and ride up here and then head back over. Now, just for some fun, I normally would finish that, but let's try some of this brand new. I got this. I won this off the prize table at my retreat, and I love when I get some nice, shiny bold for something like this. So let me get off my other thread. Let me pull this back. Get off my other thread and put this on. I hate trying to figure out where to start to take it off. I see it. Okay. Make sure you know you've got the right thread, that it's not still tucked under. All right. And then lift up my presser foot and get this out. All right. I'll put this up top here. All right. So if anybody sees Carol, let me know, because I went to her site. I don't think I saw anything recently, and I want to make sure she was getting ready to move. I want to make sure she's settled in. So let me know if you see Carol. Tell her we miss her. We're thinking of her. I hate moving. The older you get, the harder it is, more unsettling it is to move. I like my routines. Also, make sure if you get any kind of industrial machine, one that's supposed to be oiled, please follow those instructions perfectly. It's to keep metal surfaces from grinding against other metal surfaces without having something to keep them nice and cool. And they will bend and warp, and you'll have a mess. So when they tell you how many hours to oil it and where to oil it, please do that. Okay. Just yesterday when I sat down here, I oiled the top and the hook. And that's one thing I'm very good at. I keep what's called an oiling pen handy. I have a bigger one that I can refill it. And if I keep this right here, it makes it very, very easy for me to do what I'm supposed to do. Okay. So we just have a few more minutes. I'm going to show you some really exciting thread, and let's see what it does. Now, I also have the holographic, which is not thread. It is very thinly sliced from a sheet of the plastic holograph thread. And I'm not sure exactly what it's made of, but it's got real metal, and it's got like probably a thin acetate base. And so that's why those are hard to use. Threads are yarn, even though they're tiny yarn, but they are twisted and plied. plied meaning how many separate threads are twisted into one. And so the holographic metallic threads are just a film sliced very thin. Okay, in fact, I think I have, no, this is a metallic rayon, which is delicate. Let me see. I see it. All right. These you have to be very careful. This is not a thread. It's just a hair thin sliced from the holographic trim. So there's so many different kinds of things we can use now. All right, so I am finally threaded. Let's get back down here and see what I'm going to do now. What did Denise think of? Okay, so here we're going to go. I'm going to go into this next. In fact, let me tighten up. Whoops, no, I want it this way more. But do you see now why I like to use the little long arm to do thread painting? I think it's a lot easier. It's a lot stronger. Okay, my thread tension is a problem. So let me make sure I have it through the tension discs. All right, let's see. Let me start. See right here, I can see it's very loose. Look at that. So, oh goodness. Yeah, that's terrible. So on the back, I'm sure it looks like a bird's nest. All right, so I wanted to cut that away so that I can make sure I've got it correct now. All right, so here is my thread, and I just need to pull it. Oh, I totally missed the tension disc altogether. No wonder. I had it back behind the tension knob, but not in the disc. Okay. I got too much thread here, so what I'm going to do is just hold it right out here. When I start sewing, it'll knot it, and then, nope, stop, and cut it. All right, here we go. So it broke again. I'm done. I'm still feeling a little under the weather. But yes, some of these fun threads are very particular. So I think you kind of know what I was going to do. And kind of just, and I can even then come along and put a little bit of it up here on the other colors of the sky and run it down along here where the other darker yellow may be. So, okay. I'm hoping, well, let me see. Let me see if I can get it to where you can see a little bit of how it's coming along now. But there it is. So I'm hoping it's getting, the one thing you can tell is it's looking more of a one piece instead of all these separate pieces of fabric that we first put on. Next week, I'll make sure to leave some of the area I did here for the dune grasses and the fronds. Oh, I wanted to show, is Betty still here? Let me loosen this. She is having trouble getting her fence curved the way I have it. So I want to give her a few hints that I think would help. Okay. Now, I started with the fence over here and put a post. I put a post over here. Then what I did is with a pencil, how tall I wanted it to be here. So now this is just going up. And then I came around the back to finish that curve. Whoops. Let me see. But I'm hoping this thing is blocking it, but I'm hoping that, let me see if I can bring this forward. Okay, so here we go. So what you need to do, it's hard when you're holding the camera, but you just decide where you're going to start. Then decide where you want it to be just upright. And you do that curve, and then just go straight up. Then come on the back side to finish the curve. So you're looking at the back side of this. Over here, the same thing. Decide where you're going to have just the uprights. Decide where you want to start the curve with a line, draw it, and then I did individual wooden slats. These are individual pieces that I used. Whoops, it's now getting in the way. Individual slats that I used fusible on, and then ironed them down, then came over them with the invisible thread, did a zigzag, stitched them down, and then did the ink tints, and then came back in and did the embroidery on, because like on these back ones, all those dune grasses come up over top of them. So do your ink tints to the back of this before you do your embroidery, and do the wire that holds it together before you do your dune grass embroidery. I'm hoping that gives you a little help. If you still need more help, I'll be glad to, but you have to have an idea of how tall you want them to be and where you want them to stop and maybe go around the corner. And it's really not too hard. And then I made these strips all about 4 inches long, which is longer than I needed them, but I can then glue them in the area and trim them up, and the same for the top. And it looks good when they're a little bit fuzzy and beaten up, because these fences end up looking fuzzy and beaten up. So I'll do some more of this thread painting next week and then talk to you about quilting it. Okay? All right, so let me get this back up. I thank you so much. Oh, let me check some more. How did you get the white pebbles? The white pebbles were printed on that fabric, so I got lucky. And let's see. Your woodland waterfall was a great lesson on layering. Thank you. When you finish, would you sell tickets? Aw. Yeah, I'm going to pretty much say that just about all my quilts, if somebody really were to want to buy them, that just let me know, because I realize at some point I can't keep them all. So if they're really special, if they're something from my childhood or whatever, I'll let you know when I first start making them. But otherwise, I would, be honored if somebody wanted to buy them. Oh, let me pull this back over this way and turn this off. So there went my glasses. But anyway, thank you. Thank you for not minding that I switched this a day later. Because I tell you what, that cold just did a number on me. So, but I'm going to start tomorrow taking my walks or working out on my elliptical trainer. That's how my sciatica supposedly is going to get better. And that's how I can get in better shape. So, but it was so nice. Thank you for being here with me. I'm always doing something, I tell you. Also, that gives me a thought. I'm thinking for our next art quilt that we could do a triptych quilt, which is where you take a quilt, but you cut it into 3 sections. And it's nice because you can continue on with a theme. Some people do different seasons with a certain theme. But we saw our Nazarene do this, and it was beautiful. And I'd like it to be more free form. So I'm going to give y'all a job. I want y'all to give hints, give examples of what you think you'd like to see in a triptych. And we'll put it out there and we'll all vote just like we did on the woodland waterfall. And so we have to decide, do we want something just free form? Do we want something realistic? What do we want? So be thinking, put your thinking cap on and give poor Deb a break. But come up with something that we can do. I would like more of a free form edge, and that a design that definitely is exciting when you divide it into 3 sections. And they don't all have to be equal sections. The center can be bigger and the sides can be a little smaller. But Nazi did an amazing job with hers. So that's what we're going to work on. All right. Thank you very much. I'm a tired girl. I'm going to go take it easy. Mwah. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for being my online family. Jody, way to go. Happy Mother's Day. I'll see you on Sunday. Probably a little later. I'll send you a memo. All right. Bye-bye.